So, what's happening with the Lachin corridor dispute in Artsakh and Armenia? We're going to talk with Trey Blanton. Trey Blanton. Trey, thanks for being with us. I appreciate you coming on. You're a freelance reporter like I am, and it sounds like you have fallen in love with Armenia the same way I did just by going over there and experiencing it. Tell me how you got connected with Armenia.
So during the 2020 war between Azerbaijan and Artsakh, I did a lot of reporting with a Catholic organization on that war. It was one of those things that I did so much reporting on it, oftentimes against my supervisor's desires for so much coverage, that the government of Artsakh reached out to me, invited me over to the country so that I can interview officials and family members there who had been impacted by the war, just to sort of give a Western audience more insight into what took place there. And then last year, with the organization Christians in Need Foundation, I traveled to Artsakh for 5 months so that I could teach boxing basics to kids at a school. It's the Antonia Arslan Hamalir. It's a Italian-Armenian partnership where, in previous years they had brought in Italians to teach things like culinary arts, woodworking, basically anything that you think of high fashion wise in Italy, they were trying to teach to the Armenians there. And I was just trying to introduce a little American ruggedness with boxing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you were 5 months over there.
Five
This
months,
last time.
yep. I
Wow.
actually left approximately 3 weeks before the blockade began over there.
Okay.
Would have still been over there if my visa hadn't ran out.
Oh, okay. So, what is the situation right now with the blockade?
So the latest incident that I wrote on today was a 68-year-old man who was trying to receive medical treatment in Armenia was basically abducted by Azerbaijan. The Red Cross was transporting him from Artsakh to Yerevan, and when they arrived at the checkpoint, the Azeris were like, "Hold on, wait a second, we need to figure things out." And then they were like, "All right, you're coming with us, and we're going to take you off in this unknown direction." The latest I've heard is that the Red Cross representative who was there and the gentleman's daughter who was there traveling with him have no idea where he was taken to, but aside from it being within Azerbaijan. But basically, Azerbaijan's declared that he was a war criminal who supposedly massacred Azerbaijanis during the 1990s war. And basically, it's just reflective of Ilham Aliyev's position that pretty much any adult Armenian male is a criminal in his eyes. And if you try to, go between Armenia and Artsakh, you're going to be arrested.
Well, yeah, I mean that road. I've been down to the crossing there at the river, and they're not allowing Armenians to come and go through there. It's almost no one is allowed to come and go, if unless they're just very lucky. Maybe a few Red Cross or people like that. Now, it drives me crazy. I see it on Twitter all the time that the spokespeople for Azerbaijan are saying Artsakh is not blockaded. They can come and go all they want into Azerbaijan. But
Exactly.
these are Armenians, and they don't want to go to Azerbaijan. They want to go to Armenia.
No, if you,
And
yeah, sorry.
well, so tell me about that. How
Well, I
that?
mean, if you look at the road they want them to use, it goes from Artsakh eastwards into Azerbaijan. So, in order for anybody to travel to Yerevan or vice versa, they have to circumnavigate Artsakh basically, go around the north of it, enter into Azerbaijan, come into their sovereign territory in order to use the road that they're saying is wide open. And no Armenian who values their life is going to want to do that. And plus, it's just irrational from a logistics standpoint that you would drive hours out of your way to deliver humanitarian aid.
Right. Now, this has been going on for some time. They started out by pretending it was a blockade by environmentalists that were worried about the mines in the area or things like that. That was farcical on its face to begin with. Now they've abandoned all pretense and they're just saying, well, this is Azerbaijan and we're going to keep it. And they keep crowing about just how wonderful it is there, how uh, wow, this place is growing now. Business is coming back. It's all green and pretty now that we're here. Uh, and treat literally act like anybody who's Armenian is a terrorist. And the problem is there's still 120,000 Armenians in Artsakh who don't have food, don't have medicine, or anything else. What is the what needs to be done here? I mean, I saw just today and yesterday that there was a big aid convoy that was trying to get through, wasn't being allowed through. Uh, you know, what's the solution? How's this going to end?
So I think that the Republic of Armenia did a good first step in trying to deliver this humanitarian aid, because any European monitors who were there on location will see firsthand that Azerbaijan is just not going to play ball. They're in it to subjugate Artsakh into complete submission, and it's sort of a join us or die type of thing. I think the solution that needs to be arrived at is a willingness of international organizations or people acting independently to step up and say, we're taking this humanitarian aid and we're not going to let you stop us, because Armenia as a government can't force anything through because there are politics involved. If they try to force anything through, well, that's basically an act of war. But there's no reason why free people can't do their own little environmental protest, because if you have 120 to 130,000 dead Armenians, a bunch of carcasses in the land, that kind of has a very bad environmental impact, which I personally am opposed to. So it's a civil rights, human rights issue where people need to start linking arms and escorting these trucks into Artsakh. And if the Azeris want to open fire, well, you'll be doing so in the eyes of the world, because that's the only way that people of courage and conviction can make things happen. You have to show the world what Azerbaijan is capable of.
So what's the place of the Russians in all of this? They're supposed to be there monitoring this as peacekeepers, but it doesn't sound like they're really doing a whole lot.
No, they're handicapped now more than ever because of the war in Ukraine. Prior to that, maybe they could have had a little bit of more impact, but even prior to that war, they were kind of doing a both-sidism, because that's resources you have to commit. It's the reason why Joseph Stalin gave the Artsakh Nagorno-Karabach Oblast to Azerbaijan in the first place. In my opinion, I think a lot of historians would agree with that, is if you keep conflict on the periphery, then you don't have to worry about conflict in the homeland, closer to Moscow and that type of thing. So it's very hard to defend things at the far extent of basically your political reach. And so, I mean, they're under as much pressure as the Artsakhi are, because they have to eat too. Supplies have to reach them. And so they're kind of in a difficult position where if they, step up too much against Azerbaijan, how are they going to eat?
Yeah, that's right. Well, none of this bodes really well for Armenia in the long term, because as Russia loses influence in the area, it creates opportunity for Azerbaijan to try to move on its bigger ambitions of really wiping out Armenia proper. And Azerbaijan and Turkey would love nothing more than to connect the dots between those two countries by just wiping out at least a portion of Armenia, and that's a real concern, obviously. It's amazing to be. I just came back from Armenia a couple weeks ago myself, and to be there. It's such an incredibly beautiful place, and just so tranquil and so friendly. But to know that right on the periphery there, everywhere you look, there are enemies who would like to see you disappear. That's a kind of a strange feeling, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on and explaining what's going on with Artsakh. I hope that our viewers will follow your work. Where can they do that?
LucernaLuxMedia.com. That's the same name as on my YouTube channel, trying to build up an audience. As I've told people, it was never my intention to get into journalism. Like yourself, I had a military background. My dream as a kid was to become an FBI agent. I don't personally think I have the charisma to be a journalist of renown and get those numbers, but there's only so much atrocities that you could witness in the world before you decide, if I don't step up, who will? So I'm trying to build up that audience slowly, but hopefully surely. And if they follow me either on the website or on the YouTube channel, I'll be trying to increase the number of posts I make on both locations. And it'll cover a lot of Christian issues, not just Armenia, but Pakistan's Christians who are constantly arrested for blasphemy against Muhammad, and making their little girls into child brides and that sort of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot to cover. One of the and kind of job security things about being a journalist is that there's no shortage of crisis and conflict in the world. Thank you for the work you do, and I hope people will go and support you. And so we'll have you on again. Thanks a lot.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.